She didn't even lower her voice when she said it. Let's break up. I can't spend my youth on someone who has nothing. We were standing outside the bar where she wanted to go. I was still holding the door open for her. My phone buzzed in my pocket with a reminder for a rent payment I was already late on. The timing felt almost scripted. For context, I'm Ryan, 27M. She's Qley, 26F. We'd been together just over 2 years. Long enough to share furniture. Long enough for her to know exactly where to aim if she wanted to hurt me. She said, "You're sweet," and added, "But I need more. I can't wait around for potential." That's when I noticed him. Tall, clean jacket, confident posture, standing a little too close for someone who was supposedly just a friend from work. He didn't look uncomfortable. He looked like he'd been waiting. I didn't argue. I didn't ask questions. I didn't remind her of the nights I worked late or the plans I kept putting off because I was trying to build something. I just nodded. "I wish you well," I said. Her eyebrows twitched. Just for a second. Like she expected resistance. Tears. Something dramatic she could justify later. Instead, she laughed under her breath. "See? That's the problem. You're too passive." Then she turned, slid her arm through his, and walked away without looking back. I stood there longer than I should have. Long enough to feel embarrassed. Long enough to realize how quiet it was once she was gone. That night, I didn't drink. I didn't text anyone. I went home, opened my laptop, and updated my resume for the first time in months. I told myself it didn't matter. But a part of me wondered why she looked so confident walking away, and why it felt like she thought I'd still be right where she left me. The first few days after she left were quiet in a way that felt unreal. No good morning texts. No passive-aggressive comments. No reminders about how I should be doing more. Just silence. The kind that forces you to sit with yourself whether you like it or not. I replayed her words more than I want to admit. Someone who has nothing. She'd said it like a diagnosis, not an insult. Like she was simply stating a fact everyone else already knew and I was the last one to catch on. Qley had always been good at that, framing cruelty as honesty. Anytime I pushed back, she'd sigh and say I was being insecure, that she was just ambitious, and I should be grateful she was motivating me. Motivating. Right. I worked in logistics. Not glamorous, but stable. I was paying my bills, slowly digging out of debt, trying to set myself up for something better. Qley hated that I wasn't flashy about it. She hated that progress with me looked boring. She loved talking about levels and upgrades. Loved pointing out couples on Instagram who traveled every month and wore matching designer outfits. Loved reminding me that she was in her prime. Looking back, I should have known how this would end. Instead of spiraling, I did the only thing that made sense. I stopped talking and started moving. I picked up extra shifts. I finished the certification I'd been dragging my feet on because Qley said it was a waste of weekends. I cut spending down to the bone. No bars. No nights out. Just work, gym, sleep. I didn't post about it. I didn't tell mutual friends. I didn't block her either. I didn't need to. 3 days after the breakup, I heard through someone else that she'd already posted pictures with him. Rooftop bar. Champagne. Caption about knowing your worth. That stung, but not the way she probably wanted. Because for the first time, I wasn't trying to prove anything to her. I was trying to make sure I never felt that small again. What I didn't know was that she was watching everything, even while pretending she'd already moved on. By the end of the week, I was running on routine instead of emotion. Wake up early. Work. Gym. Study. Repeat. It wasn't some cinematic transformation. No motivational speeches in the mirror. Just quiet discipline. The kind that doesn't look impressive from the outside but starts changing things on the inside. That's when Qley's name popped up on my phone. Not a text. A call. I stared at it until it stopped ringing. She didn't try again that night. But the next morning I woke up to 3 missed calls and a voicemail. I didn't listen to it right away. I already knew it wouldn't be an apology. Qley never apologized. She reframed. Later that day, curiosity got the better of me. Her voice came through shaky, but controlled. "Hey, it's me. I just wanted to check in. I heard you've been busy." Busy. Like she was monitoring a project she'd already canceled. I didn't call back. That evening, a mutual friend texted me. "Qley keeps asking what you're up to. She says she's worried about you." Worried. This from the woman who said I had nothing and walked off with another guy like she was trading up a phone plan. I found out soon after why she was suddenly interested. The guy she left with? Turns out he wasn't the upgrade she thought he was. Loud online, quiet in real life. All flash, no follow-through. The kind of guy who posts motivational quotes but borrows money. Funny how fast potential stops matching when it's not yours anymore. Still, I stayed quiet. No subtweets. No posts. No explanations. That silence must have driven her crazy. Because 3 nights later, my phone rang again. This time I answered. "Ryan," she said quickly, like she was afraid I'd hang up. I didn't expect you to disappear like this." "Disappear?" I almost laughed. "I didn't disappear," I said. "You walked away." She went quiet. And in that pause, I realized something important. She didn't expect me to build anything. She expected me to stay exactly where she left me. After that call, I expected things to settle down. They didn't. Qley started popping up everywhere again, digitally, at least. She watched every story I posted, liked old photos, reacted to things that had nothing to do with her. It was subtle enough to deny, obvious enough to notice. Then the messages started. Not directly to me at first. To friends. To people she knew would circle back. "She says she's worried you're spiraling. She thinks you're pretending everything's fine. She said she hopes you're not doing this out of spite." Out of spite. Meanwhile, I was getting promoted at work. Not some massive jump, but enough to matter. Enough to change how my paycheck looked. Enough to confirm that the long nights and quiet weekends were doing something. I didn't tell anyone, especially not her. Then one night, my phone rang again. I answered without thinking. She was crying this time. Real crying. Not the polished kind she used in arguments. "I messed up," she said immediately. "I shouldn't have said those things. I was angry. I was scared." I stayed silent. "You didn't even try to stop me," she continued, her voice shaking. "You just let me go." There it was. Not regret for hurting me. Regret that I didn't chase. "You walked away with someone else," I said calmly. "What was I supposed to do?" She sniffed. "Fight. Show me you cared." I closed my eyes. For 2 years, I'd been proving I cared in ways that didn't show up on Instagram. In patience. In planning. In sacrifice. None of that counted. "I did care," I said. "I just don't anymore." The line went quiet. That's when she said the thing that changed everything. "I didn't think you'd actually become something without me." And suddenly, the tears made sense. She wasn't calling because she missed me. She was calling because she was afraid she'd misjudged me. And for the first time, she wasn't looking down anymore. She was looking back. After that call, I thought she'd back off. Instead, she doubled down. The next morning, she texted me like nothing dramatic had happened. "Good morning. Hope you slept okay." No apology. No acknowledgement of what she'd said. Just a reset. Like she could roll the conversation back to a safer point where she still had access. I didn't reply. By that afternoon, her tone shifted. "You don't have to ignore me. I'm just trying to be mature about this." Mature. From the woman who broke up with me in public and walked off with another guy. That evening, I ran into her by accident. Same grocery store. Same aisle. She looked surprised, but not upset. More like she'd been hoping for it. "Hey," she said, brushing her hair back. "You look different." "Yeah," I replied. "So do you." She laughed awkwardly. "I didn't expect to see you here." "You live 3 blocks away," I said. She frowned, then smiled again. "I've been meaning to talk to you. In person." I already knew where this was going. She leaned closer. "I didn't mean what I said that night. About you having nothing. I was emotional." "You meant it," I said. "You just didn't expect consequences." Her smile faded. "I just think it's crazy how fast you've changed," she snapped. "Like you're trying to prove something." I met her eyes. "I am. To myself." She crossed her arms. "So what? Now you're too good to talk to me." "No," I said evenly. "I'm just not available anymore." That word hit her harder than anything else. Available. She opened her mouth to respond, then stopped. For the first time, she didn't have a move ready. As I walked away, I felt it clearly. She wasn't trying to come back. She was trying to pull me back down to where she felt comfortable. And I wasn't going. That night, she called again. I didn't answer. She called a second time, then a third. By the 4th call, I knew something had changed on her end. Qley never chased like this. She was used to being chased. Used to people adjusting themselves around her moods, her timelines, her standards. I let it ring out. The next day, she showed up where she knew I'd be. Outside my gym. Sitting in her car. Windows down. Sunglasses on. Like she'd planned it carefully enough to pretend it was casual. "Wow," she said as I walked past. "You're really going to ignore me in person now." I stopped, mostly out of curiosity. "What do you want, Qley?" She sighed dramatically and stepped out of the car. "I just don't recognize you anymore. You used to be softer." There it was again. Not concern. Discomfort. "I'm just focused," I said. She laughed sharp. "Focused on what? Proving me wrong?" "No," I replied. "On not ending up back where I was." Her face tightened. You act like I ruined your life. You didn't, I said. You clarified it. That pissed her off. She stepped closer. You know, that guy I left with? At least he lives. He doesn't hide behind plans and spreadsheets. I met her eyes. Is that why you're here? Because it didn't work out? Her silence answered for her. You think you're better than me now? She snapped. No, I said calmly. I think I'm better for myself. She scoffed. You'll burn out. You always do. That one landed, but not how she expected. I burned out trying to keep up with you, I said. This feels sustainable. She stared at me, jaw clenched, like she was trying to decide whether to insult me or cry. Then her voice dropped. I didn't think you'd actually level up without me. I stepped back. That's not my problem anymore. As I walked inside, I felt it clearly. She didn't miss me. She missed the version of me that stayed small so she could feel tall. And she was finally realizing that version wasn't coming back. After the gym incident, Qley stopped pretending this was about checking in. She went straight to rewriting the story. A mutual friend sent me screenshots I didn't ask for. Qley had been venting, loudly. According to her, I'd changed overnight, let bitterness consume me, and was obsessed with proving her wrong. Obsessed. I was working, training, sleeping, and repeating. If that was obsession, it was the healthiest one I'd ever had. Then she escalated. She showed up at my apartment one evening. No warning. No call. Just knocking like she still had the right. When I opened the door, she looked me up and down like she was inspecting the damage. So this is it, she said. This is the big transformation. I didn't invite her in. What do you want, Qley? She scoffed. I just wanted to see if you were actually doing better or just pretending. I leaned against the doorframe. And she hesitated. Just for a second. You look fine. There was disappointment in her voice. That stung more than any insult. You know, she continued, crossing her arms, I never said you couldn't succeed. I just didn't want to waste my best years waiting. I nodded slowly. And I didn't want to spend mine being reminded I wasn't enough. That hit harder than I expected. Her mouth opened, then closed. She switched tactics. You really think you're above me now? She snapped. Because I left? No, I said evenly. I think I'm beyond you. Her eyes flashed. Careful. You're not as special as you think. I smiled. Not smug, not cruel. Just calm. Neither are you. That did it. She laughed bitterly. You'll regret this. People like you always do. You build something and forget who was there before. I shook my head. You weren't there for me. You were there until you thought you could do better. Silence stretched between us. Finally, she whispered, I didn't think you'd actually win. I looked at her one last time. I wasn't competing, I said. I was surviving. I closed the door. And on the other side of it, she finally realized something she never considered. She hadn't walked away from nothing. She'd walked away from someone who was about to become something she could no longer reach. I thought closing the door would end it. It didn't. 2 nights later, my phone rang at 1:17 a.m. Qley. I almost didn't answer. Almost. But something told me this call was different. The moment I picked up, I heard it, full-on sobbing. No control. No edge. Just raw panic. I can't do this, she cried. Everything's falling apart. I stayed quiet. That guy, she continued, voice breaking, he's gone. Just gone. He said I was too intense. Too demanding. Can you believe that? Yes, I could. I don't know what I'm doing anymore, she said. I feel stupid. I feel like I threw everything away. Everything. Not me. Not us. Everything. You're the only one who ever believed in me, she said softly. You always stayed. You always had a plan. There it was. Not love. Security. I finally spoke. You didn't want a plan. You wanted a shortcut. She gasped like I'd slapped her. That's not fair. You left because I didn't look impressive yet, I said. Now you're calling because I do. Her crying slowed, replaced by shaky breathing. I made a mistake, she whispered. Please don't say you don't care. I leaned back against the couch, staring at the ceiling. I care, I said honestly. Just not the way you want. Silence. Can we meet? She asked. Just talk. I need to see you. This was the moment she thought would reset everything. The late night breakdown. The emotional vulnerability. The opening for me to step back into my old role. The guy who fixed things. I don't think that's a good idea, I said. Her tone shifted instantly. Fear creeping in. Why? Because if I come save you, I replied. You'll leave again the moment something shinier shows up. She started crying harder. I wouldn't, she said. I swear. I closed my eyes. I believe you believe that, I said. And that's the problem. She went quiet. I hope you figure things out, I added. But it won't be with me. When the call ended, I sat there for a long time. Not shaking. Not sad. Just aware. A week ago, she said I had nothing. Now she was calling because she had nothing, and I had become the thing she thought she could come back to. She was wrong, and she was starting to realize it. After that call, she didn't disappear. She unraveled. Mutual friends started reaching out, cautiously at first, then more directly. Qley had been crying at parties, drinking too much, talking about me like I was a missed opportunity instead of a person she discarded. She says you were the only stable thing in her life, one friend told me. She keeps saying she fumbled you, another added. I didn't respond to any of it. Not because I was being cold, but because engaging would have put me right back into the role she wanted me in. The emotional anchor. The safety net. The guy who absorbed the fallout of her choices. Meanwhile, my life kept moving. The certification paid off. I was officially offered a better position, more responsibility, better pay, real upward momentum. Nothing flashy, but solid. Real. The kind of progress Qley used to mock because it didn't come with bottle service. The irony wasn't lost on me. A few nights later, she texted again. Different number. I saw you got promoted. I always knew you had it in you. I stared at the screen, feeling nothing but clarity. You didn't know, I typed. You just didn't want to wait. She replied instantly. I was young. I was scared. Everyone else was moving faster. That sentence summed her up better than any insult ever could. She didn't want growth. She wanted comparison. Can we meet? She asked. I just want to talk. I promise I won't ask for anything. That promise was the lie. I put the phone down and didn't answer. An hour later, another message came through. Please. I feel like I'm losing everything. I finally replied, once. You didn't lose everything. You let go of something before it had time to grow. That doesn't mean it comes back when you panic. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again, then nothing. And for the first time since she walked away with another guy, I understood something completely. She didn't leave because I had nothing. She left because she couldn't stand being with someone whose success she couldn't take credit for. And that made all the difference. I didn't hear from Qley for almost 2 weeks after that. No texts, no calls, no secondhand updates from friends. For the first time since the night she walked away with another guy, she was actually gone. Then, on a random Tuesday evening, my phone rang. Her name. I almost let it go to voicemail. Almost. But something told me this was the last one. I answered. She didn't cry this time. I just wanted to hear your voice once, she said quietly. No edge. No attitude. Just exhaustion. I'm not calling to ask for anything. I stayed silent. I've had a lot of time to think, she continued. About what I said. About how I left. About how I treated you like you were already a failure because you weren't finished yet. That word, finished, hit me harder than anything else she'd said. I thought success was something you either had or didn't, she admitted. I didn't understand that some people are still building. I exhaled slowly. You didn't want to be there while I was building, I said. That was your choice. I know, she whispered. And I have to live with it. There was a pause. Then she said the one thing I never expected to hear from her. I hope whoever ends up with you understands what they have. I closed my eyes. I hope you figure out what you're actually looking for, I replied. Not just what looks good next to you. She didn't argue. She didn't defend herself. I'm sorry, she said, for saying you had nothing. I answered honestly. I had less back then. I didn't have nothing. She let out a shaky breath. I see that now. We said goodbye after that. No promises. No lingering tension. Just an ending that finally felt real. When the call ended, I didn't feel victorious. I felt free. Because when she said, I can't spend my youth on someone who has nothing, what she really meant was, I don't want to invest unless I'm guaranteed a return. And when I said, I wish you well, I wasn't being passive. I was choosing a future she could no longer step into.